Hey everyone, I have a big book haul today. It's my first book haul ever. I got a lot of books this month and I'm really excited to show you all of them. I think it's a really neat collection of both new and old books. Some of them I've read since I got them at the beginning of the month, so I'll tell you a brief snapshot review when we come to them. And yeah, so let's get started. So, I work at a bookshop and I get advanced reader copies of books all the time, or they send them to our shop, and then there's this sort of awkward kerfuffle of who gets what, and the best thing to do is just show up early and take the book before anyone knows that we got a proof copy of it. But and that's what I did with this book, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I definitely messed that up. Anyway, this book is the talk of the town. Oh my gosh. It's been longlisted for the Booker Prize, and everyone's just saying such good things about it. They're comparing it to Donna Tartt. They're saying it's this sort of sprawling Dickensian novel set in New York City. And I'm a sucker for a New York City novel. That's the truth about being a Toronto boy. I feel like we look up to New York City and go, oh my gosh, like a bigger version of us. I don't know. Many people will probably say that's not the truth, but that's how I feel. It is massive, though. I don't know when I'm going to read it. Oh my gosh. Like, A Little Life? I think they should have called this A Big Life. Moving on, I have another book that I received from a publisher, which I'm so stoked about. I mean, I've already read it, but I love this new edition. It's Frank Herbert's Dune, and this is the 50th anniversary edition of the book, and it's nice. And I've noticed that in the UK, there hasn't been a good edition of Dune. It's looked quite gross, or there was like a 5-book compendium that included this and like 4 other books in the series, and it was like, you're never gonna read that. So this is great, and it's and it comes with a little note from the editor too here. Oh, and an important thing with Dune is that like the font is good, so it's like these are big pages, and like this font size isn't too small because there's all these made up words like Ben Gesserit, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed. And so if you don't have to squint at every word, it makes it a little bit easier. So yeah, super stoked about this one. My favorite book I've read this month, and everyone's going to say, wow, Jacob, you're really late on the ball here. And it is Divergent by Veronica Roth. I love this book, and now I want to read loads of YA. This book was so brutal. It was like Fight Club for kids. Instead of middle-aged men going through existential crises, it's teenagers beating the crap out of each other. Oh my gosh, I'm probably going to do a full review of it as my first book review because I enjoyed it so much. But for now, there you go. Actually ended up buying the sequel, which I haven't read yet. But here it is. Boom, ba-doom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. After loving Divergent, I kind of went on a bit of a YA binge, and I was like, all I'm ever going to read now is YA. It's the best. That's who I am now. So I went back to the classics, The Hunger Games, and you're all thinking, oh, Jacob, why haven't you read Hunger Games? I don't know. I was getting my BA and being a snob, but now I'm not, and I just want to read awesome books about kids killing each other, modern day Lord of the Flies. I hope this is what it's about. This is what everyone's been telling me. There's a girl named Katniss. She kicks ass. Let's do this. Then I figured, gotta get another YA book because I love that one so much. So I got Maze Runner by James Dashner, which to me, having not read The Hunger Games, to me this looks like boy Hunger Games. This is actually the adult cover, just as I guess I didn't mention that about the Hunger Games one too. This is the adult cover for Maze Runner, and the thing I just got was the adult cover for Hunger Games. This I'm very excited to read. It's kids in a maze running around on an adventure, but the maze is like a virtual game. I don't know. But I'll tell you more of my thoughts when I do finish it. This is the last of the teen fiction that I'm going to be showing you, and it is the Everyman edition of Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials trilogy. So it comes with Northern Lights, which in North America was retitled Golden Compass, and they made it into a movie as well. And then the sequel, Subtle Knife, and the third one, Amber Spyglass. I haven't read this the parts 2 and parts 3 of the trilogy, but I've read the first one, Northern Lights, and oh my gosh, I was like crying and laughing and having so much joy throughout this whole book. It was absolutely amazing. It was so deep too. It was like this amazing adventure full of guns and really cool characters and like overhearing mysterious conversations. It was just such a delight to read. I can't wait to read the rest of them. So after finishing Philip Pullman, uh, I just went and started reading all sorts of stuff about Philip Pullman and getting so psyched and becoming this big fanboy about him. And I was reading like what his favorite books were, and he has all these great lists online that I'll include below. So one of the books I decided to pick up was one of his all-time favorites, and it's Tintin's The Castafiore Emerald. I haven't read a Tintin comic since I was, I can't remember when I was 12 years old, and I'd never read this one. And supposedly, according to Pullman, this is sort of like a subversive take on the Tintin adventure story, because instead of going off to some random country somewhere, it all takes place in the manor house in which they all live, and there's all sorts of weird red herrings, there's a mystery, and I've read about half of it, and I'm loving it, and it's really nice to revisit Tintin, and it's so cool to read a book this big, so wide, just read it like almost like a newspaper, like here I am, oh my gosh, woo, you can't see me, I'm hiding with my big book. Yes, really cool. Then it was really nice. A friend of mine bought this book for me, The Loney. I don't know much about it. It's been getting some good press. Stephen King is on the back blurbing it, and he's saying The Loney is not just good, it's great. It's an amazing piece of fiction. I don't know, those big words. And there's all sorts of other people listing it here as that they love it. And I think it's a horror novel or something. I've read the first page, and the writing is really slick, and I'm really digging it. Yeah, and I really love this edition. So, wow, it's good to have good friends, buying you books, and it's great because I probably wouldn't have picked it up myself, and now I'm definitely gonna read it. So I'm really excited. Next, but not least, I picked up. This is another sort of Philip Pullman related purchase, because he has all in Northern Lights. There's all this science and weird, crazy stuff going on. So I was like, I need to read about science. I need to know a bit more about what's going on in the world. So I picked up this, Periodic Tales, The Curious Lives of the Elements. And it goes through each element from like gold to phosphorus. And you just learn interesting stories about it. It's a bit dry. I'm struggling through it a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But ultimately, I'm really enjoying it, and it's really cool facts, and it makes me think of Full Metal Alchemist or Harry Potter, and that could be me now that I know how how the chemicals work. Or I could be a chemist. That's what they call those things. It's not Harry Potter or Full Metal Alchemist. It's a chemist. That's what chemists work with elements. There you go. My next book that I got, this is really cool. I got a bunch of books from my flatmate. He came home from France where he brought back a bunch of books for me. He's such a nice guy. I know. It's great knowing great people. I just showed you another book a person bought for me. Now another person bought me a book. I guess people just buy me books. I know. I don't know. It's nice. It's really nice. First book he bought me was this. The Man Who Wasn't Maigret, a portrait of Georges Simenon. And I'm really excited because Georges Simenon, I don't know if I'd say he's my favorite author, but he's an author I'm very interested in, and I very much admire him. He wrote like hundreds and hundreds of novels, and famously wrote novels within a week, all mostly crime novels. And I think that's pretty cool. I'd like to write novels within a week and then have them published and sell those. That sounds really nice. So he's a person whose career I'm really fascinated by. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more about his life. I'm sure he was a crazy guy. The next 3 books my flatmate got me were a couple of pulpy old sci-fi books, because he knows I like sci-fi and he knows I like pulpy books, so he got me a bunch of cool stuff. So the best of fantasy and SF, 12th series. I'm not sure when this was published. It looks super old. It's got like coffee stains and it's burnt out. Okay, so this came out in 1965, so super old. This is another one of short stories from Frank Herbert, and that fits in with Dune. And it's his short stories, which I've never read before, so I'm really excited about that. And then he also got me this, Larry Niven Limits, who I know is a serious deal in the sci-fi community. I actually don't know much about him at all, but I like old pulpy stuff, so super cool. For my last thing on in my book haul, and this thing I got most recently, it's very exciting. It was literally the same day my flatmate came back from France and gave me those pulpy sci-fi books. I went out and found at an old used bookstore old issues of analog science fiction magazine. So this is like one of the leading magazines. It's still around. It's very much like hardcore sci-fi. They have editorials about how their community is predicting the future of the world, and they're on the cutting edge of it all. And it's really exciting. I don't know. It's really fun, and it's fun to go back and find these old issues and stuff with these really cool covers. But the coolest of these is this issue from May 1973, and I'll show you why. I'll take it out of its wrapping. It has one of George R. Martin's earliest short stories published in here, page 98. I don't know if you can see it. It's somewhere. It's one of his first stories. It's called With Morning Comes Mistfall. It's the first of his stories to be nominated for a Hugo Award, and it's just so cool to think that George R. Martin, one of the biggest writers writing today, everyone, every other day, or every day there's an article about George R. R. Martin. Has he done his novel yet? What's he doing? What's going on, George R. R. Martin? And here he is at Analog Magazine in May 1973, and he's not even important enough to be put on the cover that his name's there. It's just this one guy here, Jerry Pournelle. And that's crazy. And I find that very humbling and nice to know that, even George R. R. Martin has to start somewhere. Yeah, so pretty cool. So that's all my books for August. I'm pretty pleased with what I got in, and I can't wait to do another one of these. And hope you enjoyed my video. And please comment below if you've read any of these books and which ones I should read first and which ones you loved. And yeah, cool. Thanks. Bye.